Hey, how y'all doing? Just out here in Budapest at Fisherman's Bastion with my man, Jaren Scott.
Howdy, howdy. How y'all doing
Continuing
today?
our trip. So we've got a good one for you today.
Yep.
And it is, no problem can be solved by the same level of consciousness that created it. You let that ponder, it's quite a deep thought, but it applies to everything, mentally and physically. And if you think about when you've been in a particular situation in life where something's not gone your way, whether that's, you've got negative beliefs about something, like you can't achieve something, or maybe you're a little bit overweight, your fitness is not where it is, you can't sort it from where you currently are. So when we say no problem can be solved by the same level of consciousness that created it, what's the way out? Well, you've got to make a change. And generally that means leveling up.
And you'll notice in our recent videos, we've started touching more and more of these topics. For at least those following my channel, we've deviated a bit from the expat dating type topics and focusing more on lifestyle design. And it's really because it's all encompassing. A lot of guys reach out to us and say, hey, I want to be backpacking around or traveling, or I'd like to be able to just take a month off and work from a laptop. And a lot of you guys are well on your way there, but you don't necessarily know how to get there because you are where you are. And there's no problem with that, but remember that the moment you find yourself in right now, and it's accumulation of the consequences of past actions you've taken. So if you want to eventually get to a certain state, whatever that looks like in your life, we're all on different paths and different verticals of our lives and all in different journeys, you need to start shifting that identity. I like visualization type exercises for this. A lot of my coaching clients will have them in WhatsApp groups and say the new, insert first name, or we'll give them some kind of a topic. And the reason we do that is because we really want them to focus on creating that new identity for themselves. So realize when you're in this moment in time and you want to be someone, let's say it's 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, a year, even 10 years down the line, you need to start doing the things today that person eventually does. For example, we've talked about I used to be considerably overweight, and when I lost 100 pounds in 1 year, no, I did. Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah, really, yeah.
I did at one point, yeah.
Yeah, I really think everyone was, but for me, like, I had to visualize. I looked in the mirror and I saw an overweight person looking back at me, but in my head, I already had an image of who I was going to be, and then I realized, like, okay, I cut the calories, I did the diet, I've developed some more advanced techniques for maintaining the physique, but in that moment, it's like, well, no, I'm not dropping 100 pounds. I'm just going to eat how a person at my target weight eats. And it became a lot easier. And then one day I was just walking by the mirror, I'm like, oh, there you are. Like, I already had the image in my head, and then I saw the reflection back, I'm like, yep, there we are. Now there's alignment.
That is so correct. I mean, a couple of things you said there, Jaren. The first thing is, you are the result of past actions. That is a brilliant way of putting it, because that really is the explanation for karma. If you think about what karma is real, because the idea is what you put out, you get back. And it's like, living with intent, as I say in some of my other videos. You've got to have the intent to do, what you see your future. In other words, how you see yourself in the future. You've got to start now with intent. And when you think about the cutting the weight, yeah, you were massive.
I was a big old boy.
I had some weight on, and one thing I noticed is, when you say you look in the mirror, you change that about yourself and you start putting in the work. And I think a lot of people, the reason why they struggle with this is because it is you've got to change your beliefs, but you've also then, you change your identity and then you start living according to that identity with the habits. The rituals, routines and habits that you practice daily.
Yep.
Everyone can clean the diet up for like a day or even a week, but can you do it consistently for a year? Because the other thing is as well, when you look in the mirror and you see results, you should get addicted to those results and want to double down and go more.
Absolutely.
Because getting in real shape doesn't take 6 months. Yes, you can shed a shitload of weight in 6 months, but building lean mass takes years. So year 1, you'll look great. If you double down, year 2, you look even better. If you go another year, all right, the gains start getting smaller because it's harder the closer you get to your natural peak. And not many people reach the natural peak because we're not living, we're living a balanced life. We're not robots. We're not militant with this stuff. But every year you put in, you'll get better. And it's just the way that society is. Not many people want to actually be prepared to put in the work because change is hard. So it's about habits.
Mm-hmm.
Can you sustain it? Anyone can cut diet for a week. Stop.
And most people do. They come in quick. I get clients all the time like, okay, I'm going to start doing the 1 meal a day and then I'm going to train 3 hours in the gym. Don't overtrain, by the way. You don't want to stress your body out either. Your body's already stressed if you're in an overweight type environment. So you got to gradually ease into it. So for example, I've helped coach guys that are significantly overweight. You have 100 pounds to lose, let's just say, for example. And they'll do everything that person does, but they'll burn out really quickly because, again, your body likes to maintain homeostasis. Your mind likes to maintain homeostasis.
Like doing too much in one go.
So if you throw too many variables at it at once, you've primed yourself for failure. But what you want to do is take that macro goal and then break it into micro goals. And even if it's daily, so I would say when I'm undertaking a large task, which seems monumental at the time, 1% better every day. Little details every day, and you'll be surprised. And usually what I find is I sell myself too short. Like I have some financial goals now. I was like, oh, I'll give myself a year to hit these goals. Took 90 days.
Yeah.
And then my coaches tell me, think bigger. Whatever number you have in your head, my coach literally tells me, add a zero.
Yeah,
it's like, I hit this goal, add another zero.
But there's also the opposite to that. So a lot of people underestimate how long things take as well, right? And last time I was here, I did a video on the other side near the Parliament building about this, about why things take longer, because people overestimate, they ignore what could go wrong in the average. And it just comes down to, you know, the fact that you've got to put in the work for a sustainable amount of time. And it is about the journey. It's like if you want to live a healthy lifestyle, it's got to be a lifestyle. It's not a goal. It's not like by this time next year I'll reach my target weight or whatever, and then I'm going to stop. No,
just start enacting the habits, and then eventually you'll realize you're there. And then you always reiterate, or you upgrade, or like you mentioned as we were coming in the top of the video, you level up. And whenever you hit a new level, usually I'll rejoice for a bit. I'm like, okay, good job, pat on the back. And then within a few days, I'm like, what's the next level? And as you mentioned, you get addicted to it. You train your brain to constantly strive for the next level.
And the next level, the funny thing is, the next level's always harder. But you train yourself to get better at reaching these levels.
Exactly, yeah.
Right? So you get beginner gains. We train, everyone knows this. And if you're like massive, if you've got like 25 kilos to lose, or what's that, like 100 pounds or whatever, maybe a bit more than 100 pounds, but if you've got that amount of weight to lose, you'll lose most of it in the first few months.
Yep, cut out sugar, cut out fried foods,
you'll drop loads.
Track your calories, get 8 hours of sleep. It'll melt off of you. Yep.
Easy, most of it's water weight.
But those last 10, well, for me, I think an example.
Oh, that last bit, it takes forever.
Yeah, I think I dropped something like 80 pounds in a year, and then it took another year to drop the last 20. And then I thought I was good. I was like, okay, I'm at 21% body fat, like I'm no longer obese.
Oh, you can go way. Yeah, exactly.
It's really funny when guys call me like, oh, I'm 60 pounds down. I'm like, congratulations, you're doing a great job, but you're still overweight.
Yeah, I did this.
Like, I'm 18%, I'm good. I'm like, you need to be 12 to 15%. Yeah. And then if you want a six pack, you need to be sub 10% in most cases.
Yeah, I'm just going to say
but
something
12
now.
to 10 is harder than 38 to 18.
Yes, yeah. I'm going to say something now, right? We're talking about healthy lifestyle and diet. And I'm sat here drinking an Aperol Spritz, so I do apologise for that.
Mine's alcohol-free.
Yeah, all right, I'll let Jaren on, but I must apologise, right? I generally don't drink a lot, but as it's here and we got the best seat in the house, I can't not. I'm going to have one, right? So forgive me.
Yeah, it's my fifth last
drink.
one, yeah.
Yeah, don't drink.
Yeah, do as I say, not as I do.
But we haven't eaten today.
No.
Yeah. So but back on the topic, yeah, you're right. Consistency. It's about building habits, reinforcing those habits. And when you're dieting is a good one because if you've got a lot of weight to lose, you need a plan that is consistent, right? And I was recording a video yesterday by the river. We was in Warsaw yesterday, by the way, and I did a little video there. And I'm going to reiterate just the summary of it. But what I said was, small actions performed daily, consistently over time. If you do a little bit of work consistently each day, every day, is better than doing like a shit ton of work in one day, maybe 16 hours, and then burning yourself out so you can't do anything else for the rest of the week or even the month.
That happens to most people.
Same with training. So my personal trainer, Adam, he said, I'm not training now, but I trained with Adam for like 2-3 years. And he used to say to me, he's got a new gym now, and he said, I would rather people come in and train twice a week consistently and come in 1 week and train 6 or 7 days and then not see them for the rest of the month.
Yep.
Because small actions consistently applied over time. And there's a point here about what is sustainable. It's like diet, right? If you try and lose, like you could run some math and go, right, a pound of fat is 3,500 calories.
I was going to mention that.
For a fucking week.
Well, that's what I do. So when I put people
crash diet, and you'll kill your metabolism.
When I put people on a 90-day plan, they're like, oh, what if they think, okay, I need a 500 calorie deficit per day, which puts you at 3,500 per week to lose a pound of body fat per week. But people are like, oh, well, I had a pizza last night, or oh, I'm going on vacation. Like, there's days where I'm in a surplus, there's days I'm in deficit.
So it doesn't matter. But
that's what I'm getting at. So in a 90-day period, I did a diet plan actually for a female friend of mine, so I do diet plans for girls too. We calculated what she needed, and I had to retrain her brain. I was like, okay, in this 90-day period, you don't need a 500 deficit a day. That's a good starting point. What you need is she needs a 38,000 calorie deficit in 90 days. So if you can go a month without eating and then eat a bunch of pizza, like your body doesn't like that. But at the end of the day, it's all just, as we mentioned earlier in the video, it's a cumulative effort.
Yeah, what I do find though, because I did a video on like being skinny fat, and what I find as well, because I tried this, right? If you absolutely crash diet, so there was a point when
you don't want to do that.
I was only eating 1 day a week, and I did it for a few weeks. That's pretty fucking insane dieting, and I lost loads of weight.
You probably felt like hell though.
I did, but you know what happened?
And it's not sustainable.
No.
Yeah.
So you know what happened? Why is it not sustainable? Because you'll be starving, you'll kill yourself.
You're crashing your hormones. Your sleep probably sucks. Yeah.
And you eventually stall your metabolism. You stop losing weight. So what's better? Yes, you don't want to be too militant. You can have off days, but if you took, on average, rather than like 500 calories a day, on average, consistently applied, then it doesn't matter. You know, if you have 1 day or you have a bit of a blowout, fine, and make up for it for the next day. But on average, whether you're measuring over a week, over a month, it needs to equate to that. If your target is to lose. And the closer you get to your target, you know, right at the very end of a cut, it seems to take fucking weeks, doesn't it? You know, that last little bit.
Yep, the last pound or two. So as mentioned earlier, before I go to music festivals, I always do, these are more advanced type terms I'm going to use for you starters out there, but like I do a bodybuilding type preparation, which is peak week. You manipulate your sodium, you manipulate your water and your carbohydrates.
Yeah.
And
fighters do it as well, don't they?
Exactly, yeah. They have to cut a ton of weight. They dehydrate themselves, and then you'll notice
they put like
it right
90% of it on in 24 hours.
Oh, I wrestled growing up. Yeah, it was brutal. And you weigh in, you come under, and then you hit the mat, and you're filled out. Or a lot of bodybuilders ever do it. They're deflated and flat on stage, and then we'll go hit a Chinese buffet, and the next day they look
just before,
perfectly filled out.
Just before this. I heard some of them that obviously you do the water thing where you take shit ton of water and then you slowly drop it, don't you?
You drop it to nothing, and then you start carb loading while you're dehydrated, and it pulls all the water from under your skin.
And it makes all the veins pop out and everything. Yeah. And then when they're done, I think they have like jam on toast, don't they?
Yeah. I have a music festival diet too, but that's probably that's behind the paywall, guys. It's a little more advanced for how to do that.
The key here is all goals are achieved over a longer period of time with consistency, right? And if you think about applying a sustainable diet, if you applied a reasonable diet over a long period of time, so let's say you go on an holiday, you're a little bit podgy, right? Would you rather try and lose it all in 2 weeks?
My abs are blurred a little bit, but I'm on holiday. Yeah.
But if you're hitting the beach, what is the point in leaving it until 2 weeks before and then not eating for 2 weeks? You might as well do it over 3 or 4 months gradually, getting to that point. It'll be more sustainable, you'll not crash your metabolism, and you won't be starving either.
And there's new considerations to get closer to your goal, and it depends on what your goal is.
You might hit it sooner, you go a bit further.
Yeah, for a lot of people, maintaining 15% body fat year round, That's a pretty good goal. You know, that puts you kind of in the leaner, near athletic type range.
Yeah.
If you do sub 10%, for example, with me, I like to stay walking around weight like 12 to 13%. I have like 2 or 3 pounds.
That's healthy, that.
I have
for hormones.
I have 2 or 3 pounds to lose before like a photo shoot, a beach wedding, whatever, and then I can take that off in a week or two. That's 1 pound, 1.5 pounds a week. That's not an aggressive diet.
Yeah, you know these kind of like, well, I don't know if they're professional, but you know the real, in the fitness scene, you know, the real icons. When they're at their peak, you know, when they get the best shots, the best photos, when you're at really super lean body fat.
Yeah, your body's like in a disease
It's
state.
the gutter, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Like, because you're literally killing yourself. Your body's saying, I'm dying. And it drops the testosterone ridiculously when they're at that
It starts
point.
shutting everything down. Yep.
Literally, yeah. Yeah, but I know we talked a lot about fitness because it's a great topic, because I think fitness is like getting in shape is the catalyst for all other development.
Well, the reason I advise all my clients do it, so I'll have guys reach out and like, hey, I want to date telenovela models, or I want to go to these rooftop events and, you know, bring out squads of chicks or whatever. I'm like, okay, but first you need to lose a considerable amount of weight. And the reason this is important, one, for obvious reasons, more attractive you are, the easier it is to get girls, like duh, who doesn't know that? But also you train the discipline muscle in your brain. And once you have that muscle trained, then you can apply that to any vertical of your life, whether it be financial goals, spiritual goals, family goals, whatever that looks like for you. We're all different people in different walks of life upon different paths of our journeys. But now you have that framework built in of how to, again, define a macro goal, break it into bite-sized micro goals, and then just get in the habit of moving forward at all times.
Yeah, and that's really good, because any goal, it's the same process. Like if anything, let's say you want to start a business, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't happen overnight. You're not going to like put 20, you can smash a business idea.
Do you notice how most billionaires are jacked? Zuckerberg's doing MMA.
Yeah, he is now, yeah. I know,
Jeff Bezos has veins up his biceps. Look at Jeff Bezos in
However,
the
I would
90s
say,
compared to now.
Elon Musk, I respect the guy massively. He's one of my favourite people. That is controversial, but that's my
He's
opinion.
spitting out kids though. He's a busy boy.
I know
he's sending rockets to
He's
Mars.
starting to put some flipping weight on
He
there
is,
recently.
yeah.
I don't know what he's doing there.
He'll eventually get it together. Yeah.
Yeah, he needs to, because he was quite trim a few years ago. But he's starting to, like, you look at his belly now, he's starting to put it on. But I know he's got to the point now, he's got so much momentum behind him. But any goal really is inconsistency. Right, and if you think about that, you know, the original term.
And consistency over the long term.
Yeah, but the original, you know, the opening sort of point of this video was no problem can be solved from the same level of consciousness that created it. It's the same mentally, right? So if let's say you're in a situation where you have negative self-beliefs, you believe you've not got enough money, you're not going to get that job, it's too difficult to start that business, you're really negative, right?
You've already set yourself up to fail. You will manifest that into reality.
Right? And you will not achieve anything if you're in that same level of consciousness that you're in there. So you've got to switch it up, whether it's mental, physical.
I had a client last night. He's looking for, you know, very specific job type, and I told him one of the main notes: unsubscribe from every negative YouTube channel, unfollow all these accounts. Like, you can't do it. You know, the deck's stacked against you. We're all dealt different hands in life, and we just kind of have to play the hand we're dealt. But if you constantly reinforce that fact that I'm not enough, that I can't do it, or for XYZ reason it's not going to be me, then you're absolutely right. You know, turn this video off right now and subscribe from the channel and be done with it.
Yeah, so I did a video yesterday just by the river in Warsaw. The topic of it was, you know, if you fight for your limitations, you will get them every time. And what that means, basically, negative self-beliefs, self-fulfilling prophecy. This is why it starts with changing your identity. So you know you've got to change your habits. Whatever your goal is, whether it's financial goals, fitness goals. And by the way, you should be doing all these things.
Yeah.
Whether it's spiritual goals.
They complement each other well.
Yeah.
Or for example, you're telling me that you want to start learning Spanish, or if you're learning a new language. I know a lot of my guys, we help you learn Spanish when you're relocating to Mexico, and I say, like, oh, I'd like to play guitar too, or piano. I was like, do them both, because it activates the same area of your brain and they supplement each other. Even if you're not taking Spanish lessons, but you're playing the piano, you're training your ear to distinguish new sounds, visualize the sound, and reproduce the sound in real time.
Yeah, that's a good point. I've started learning piano, and one of the reasons...
It'll accelerate your language learning.
Yeah, one of the reasons why I did, because it opens up new neural pathways. I mean,
Exactly.
one of the things that I do, I believe in, I mean, I read daily, and I think all the knowledge is...
I visualize my neural pathways forming and strengthening as I'm doing new activities, and it accelerates the learning curve considerably.
It does, but when you get into a path of learning, in anything, like I say, I love reading. I think all the knowledge is contained in books. And I try and get faster and consume more, and I've got techniques to remember the book.
Yep.
But when you're on a path to improvement in any area, whether it's fitness or occupational, it tends to, as a model, so I have a model to achieve any goal that'll work for anything, right? And it tends to work across all areas. And if you think about all the areas of life, if when you're at the lowest point and you're bad everywhere, one of the best ways to kickstart it is with fitness. You know, if your fitness is not there, because that frees your mind up, makes you think better. And I think it's, you know, this is why it's so essential. If you're not in shape, or if you're carrying too much weight, you've got to drop it. It's number one priority. Before you start thinking about upgrading your wardrobe.
You learn in fitness, especially as you start getting into it, the mind-muscle connection. So, and a lot of people, it sounds crazy, like, okay, so I'm doing a bicep curl. I'm putting my consciousness in the fiber of the muscles in the bicep as they're contracting and executing the lift. And I know that might sound crazy to newer type people, but once you get it down, I've been at it for years, you realize that your body is an extension of your mind and vice versa.
Yeah.
So when people tell me, oh, I'm mentally healthy, but they're 100 pounds overweight, it's like, well, no, you're not.
No, I think you need to do both, because even the brain, when you train the brain through reading, meditation and mindfulness.
Well, the reason I train the body is for the brain. That's the biggest benefit.
Vice versa. Because when you're training, if you think about any type of training, whether you're training your brain, you're training your body, it's a habit. And every time you do it, every time you train towards the goals that you want, you reinforce that habit. Every time you do something you shouldn't be doing, like eating crap, skipping workouts, late nights, not looking after your health, you're reinforcing bad habits, you'll end up getting worse results. So you've got to start reinforcing good habits. Right? This is why, you know, it's funny because this isn't a matter of knowledge. Everyone knows.
Everyone knows this.
You've got to stop.
We can see these ancient statues all around Europe that are thousands of years old. They understood that.
Chiseled jawlines and big
Do you see obese Greek statues?
No, you don't.
No. I mean, it would take a lot of marble, I suppose. Yeah.
But why is it like this? Isn't a matter of knowledge. It's a matter of training habits. And it is difficult because to train a habit means change. And if you're going to change anything, it takes a long time. And change generally comes with pain because your brain is geared up to always seek the easy way out. Right? So when you're faced with a choice, you should always look for the thing that has pain in the short term, because that generally means change, and it will generally lead to a long-term.
There's an old quote from Aubrey Hepburn that is, nothing tastes as good as being skinny, which I amend that for guys. Like no food is as satisfying as being jacked. Like the first time I got a six-pack, went to a music festival, walking around with my shirt off. People respond to you differently, and note for those who don't believe me, it's in a very positive way. Music festivals are next level when you're at that level.
I was thinking about ordering another one of these Aperol Spritz, but I think I'm going to knock it on the head now, because you're right. Don't spoil results. Let's not take it too far. You've got to know when to quit. Reinforce good habits, okay?
Another one is for a lot of guys, like, okay, there's a monumental undertaking. So a lot of guys will, okay, I'm going to go cold turkey, or just in one fell swoop, I'm going to do all these new things at once. As we mentioned, you burn out, you crash. So what I like to do when I'm embarking upon a new journey in whatever area that might be in my life is I gradually reduce a bad habit, I add a new good habit. So for example, like if you're considerably overweight, as you cut out the sugars, you cut down the calories, start adding a new habit. So you should be going to the gym, obviously, in conjunction if you're on a diet, using that analogy. And so you're going through constant progressive overload, and you're adding more volume, you're adding more reps, you're reducing rep time, you're increasing recovery time. For example, when I first got in the gym, I was smoking cigarettes. I was smoking a pack a day. So every day I reduced a cigarette.
That's not massively detrimental, but you would be far better without it,
Well,
wouldn't you?
yeah, and
Next
again,
level.
it's an accumulation of small habits. We mentioned earlier that we live in a single pill solution society. Like, oh well, Jaren, what's the one supplement that'll get me? It's like
Everyone wants the
there's
one
not
quick
one
fix.
thing. There's 100 little teeny tiny things that when you put them in conjunction
And it's
leads
a
to
lot of
powerful
work.
results. So reduce a bad one and then add a good one.
And every time you reinforce a good habit, it strengthens a neural pathway. And that's why you get. And what happens is, I say this a lot, right? You are the sum of the habits that you practice daily. That is your identity.
Yep, exactly that.
So what you do is you change your identity. You can give yourself a new identity, but you better start living according to that. Otherwise, you won't be it. Your habits will then confirm that. So if you smoked, right?
Yep.
You give yourself a new identity. I want to stop smoking, right? So you go, right, okay, I'm now a non-smoker. You better start reinforcing that habit. Otherwise, you will not be that identity.
And my core motivational factor for quitting smoking, I love smoking cigarettes. Cigarettes are awesome, but for me, it didn't match. It didn't match my identity. It made me feel like hell in the gym. It made my skin break out. And
So is it worth giving up, even though you love the cigarette?
Oh, absolutely.
Right, there you go.
So, but what I mentioned, like for me, and this might sound negative, but whatever your core motivational factor is, it doesn't matter. For me, it was pure vanity. Like, I want to look and feel good. It's the only reason I
nothing wrong
quit.
with that.
Yeah.
There's
Like,
nothing
I
wrong
look
with
better
that.
when I don't smoke cigarettes.
Yeah, and you feel better as well.
Yeah, you do.
So the results then, it's like dieting's hard, right? Not eating shit and not drinking too much.
But once you've been doing it for a while, it's actually hard to go off. I know we've been doing some late nights. I've been going off diet. I still feel good, probably.
Actually, when I eat a shit ton of bad carbs now, I feel like crap.
Yeah. Like,
You know what I mean?
I probably still feel better than I did 20 years ago when I was obese.
Yeah.
Relative to, but the last point I want to finalize with is that let me organize. The last point I want to conclude this with is that you reset your base point. So for example, when I was 100 pounds overweight, accumulation of past results, that was my base point. And then I got to 18% body fat. That's the new base point. And then I had to go from 18 to 15. New set of circumstances, new considerations, new base point. And again, I like to maintain 12 to 13% body fat day to day. That's very easy to maintain for me now.
Yeah.
But I did this test recently. I went 2 weeks out of the gym, and then 2 weeks no diet, no tracking calories, no carb, cyclical cycling, none of that. I did get a little soft, maintained my basic shape, and within 2 weeks of going back to the gym, the body snapped back immediately, which confirmed to me my new base point is now where it needs to be. But that's 20 years of effort leading up to that.
So that's like a huge example of an identity shift, which is a journey, you know. You changed.
I'll have to snap back to base point after this trip. Yeah,
Well,
we've been having some fun.
You were 100.
285 peak fatness. That's how you found my channel.
Yeah. Brilliant. Yeah, this is
Peak
I
fatness,
first
yeah.
found Jaren talking about his peak fatness. I was laughing, but I
Oh, that gave me a kick when you told me that the other day.
It was
Yeah.
a brilliant term. But peak fatness to 85 pounds.
But that gives you an idea of where my mind's at. Yeah.
But that was not done in one go. You know what I mean? So it's gradual. You had to go from that down.
For you tech bros out there, multiple sprints.
Multiple sprints, I like that. But even going, like you say, when you get to 20% body fat or 21%, going there to 18.
At that time, I thought I was looking good. But when I look at photos back, compared to now, I'm like,
This is the point though, right? Of every time you move to a new level, so you go from 21 to 18. When you get 18, you're over the moon. It's like give yourself a pat on the back, you've reached a goal. But then you want to go 15, then you want to go 12.
Like if you want to go 12 to 10, all of a sudden you have to start looking at sodium. You have to cut out lactose. Like there's new considerations that you have to add.
But you're now, let's say you get to that point where you're down at 12. How many, like the shift in identity is in harmony and correlation with the shift in habits. You know, the things that you do are tighter, and it gets harder the more you go. The higher the level, the harder it gets. but you get better at it. Right?
And
it's
you
a
start to
journey.
pull away from the masses. You start to get into levels where, okay, maybe your average weight, okay, you're in top 10%, and then you go that next sprint and you're in top 5%, top 97.5%. Then you get to the point. I watched like a Tom Brady documentary one time, and someone asked him like, hey, like you're the GOAT, greatest of all time, you're the best in the game. Why do you spend so much time in the off season, constantly doing new coaching, constantly watching films? And he's like, the details are in the fractions of a percentage.
Yes,
like
it
he's
gets
already the
harder.
best. He wants to be literally the greatest of all time.
Yeah, and you got to train it. It's like training a habit. So yeah, I think
Another
we're not gonna
Aperol
get-
spritz. Let's
no,
wrap.
no, I'm not going to get another Aperol spritz. I'm going to get something just like a water, sugar-free, something. So yeah, we're going to wrap. But listen, just remember, no problem can be created from the same level of consciousness that created it. Whether that's in your health, even relationships. So we might want to touch on these quickly on relationships. I know we're trying to wrap, but let's give a relationship example. If you're a super nice guy and you're getting walked on by women, right, and you keep getting fucking dumped and cheated on and all this,
Get in the gym.
right, get in the gym. But
Yeah.
that problem cannot be solved by you continuing to being a nice guy.
Yeah, exactly. Using
You need to change your mindset.
continually
on it.
executing the same habits that got you to that point.
Yeah.
Or
Same
what,
with-
what is that? What is that?
The gym.
I know it's super cliche, but the definition of insanity is repeating the same mistakes or repeating the same thing and expecting different results.
It is. That actually summarizes it. I mean, we all know we have to make changes. Whether that's doesn't matter what it is. Even in your, if you want to, in your career, you're not getting what you want out of it. Right? That might be going for a new job, changing your resume, whatever, starting a business, whatever your goals might be. But you're not going to get the same result from where you're at. So no problem can be solved from the same level of consciousness that created it. You need to change your identity. You need to change some habits, and it's going to take some time. But the quicker you start, and there ain't no magic pill that's going to fix it, the quicker you start, the quicker you'll get to your results.
So why not get started today? Make sure to give us a like, comment, share, subscribe, ring the notification bell to be the first and foremost informed of newest videos dropping, and click on the link in the description below to get a complimentary consultation with myself or Andy. Like each other's channels, share with your friends, all that good stuff, yada, yada, yada.
Well, yeah, thanks everyone. Hope you liked the video. As Jaren said,
Yep.
like it, subscribe.
Boom, boom.
See you all next
bang.
time.
The point. That'll be a fun one for Joel to edit.
Yeah.